Let's make our circle follow through the entire many feet of it. Glory to God.
Looks like there are more people.
Let's close our eyes and have a quiet time before we start. I want you to use your imagination and feel the light reaching out to touch each one on each side of you. And think of this circle of light. I want us to make this a very powerful class tonight. So let us start out by sending God's love to those that I send love to. I will just say it, and if you agree with it, you can just say yes to yourself. Or no, you can be silent. I send God's love to surround myself and each one of his students with the capsule and a wall of God's perfect love. I fill this center to overflowing with God's love. I ask it to be sustained and maintained throughout this night. I send God's love into this ground, into the trees, shrubs, and grass and plants. And God's love, thick dome of God's love, surround this center, and I ask it to be sustained and maintained throughout this night. Send a cloud of God's love over this valley of the sun, and a blanket of God's love that covers this planet. I send God's love unlabeled, multiplied many times by his heavenly host. I ask that all this love spending be multiplied many times by God's heavenly host. I send God's love to all those in darkness everywhere, to all those who crossed over recently both ways, to all those who are hungry, homeless, those who are abused, and to the abuser, those who are oppressed, and to the oppressor. I would send a huge avalanche of God's love to each individual on this planet, and each who are connected with this planet on other dimensions, other planets, other places, other situations. I send an extra abundance of God's love to the world leaders and to all those connected with the world leaders in any way, to all the trouble spots in the world, and to all those involved in the trouble spots. Let us send an extra huge abundance of God's perfect love to the Mideast crisis. Let us fill a huge, huge reservoir to overflowing with God's love, 1 trillion times larger than the time before collectively. To be held in reserve, used when and where God sees the need. Let's send love to the whole universe in great, great abundance. Let us send love to creative guidelines, to the oasis, to all groups everywhere in the whole universe who are helping to bring God's love and light and healing power into places of need. Let us send God's love to all those who are searching for his presence, know not where to look or how to find him, and maybe know not even what they're looking for. Let us send an extra abundance for God for us to be. Let's send God's love to all the students who create his guidelines, past, present, and future. Let us send God's love to all of our physical families at all times and all places, for all spiritual families everywhere. Let us send God's love to each individual that we have ever made contact with at any time, at any place. Let us send an extra huge abundance of God's love to all those that we have been left and loving to. Let's send a huge abundance of God's love to anyone or any situation that we've left out. Continue to feel the light that connects this circle or connect. And let us include all on this planet and all the universe in our circle of light. God's love is unlimited in power and wisdom. Thank you, Father. Our class call tonight is Peace on Earth. As we see the picture on your planet here, we see the storm clouds of war looming on your horizon. With enough winds of love and peace, these dark clouds can be dissipated into the nothingness from which they came. With enough divine love, all hearts can be melted to see the light of truth, as you have witnessed many of your world leaders speaking with one voice, choosing peace. The few who remain outside of the trance, outside the circle of love, could find themselves alone and left out of your world family. Your planet and the ones who reside thereon are weary of war, and in their hearts long for peace. This situation, like all others, can be used as an opportunity to bring more peace, to bring more of God's love and light on your plane and in the mind and heart of those who reside. We who know the warmth of God's glory and God's love ask you with one more divine love unlabeled into the trouble spot on your planet. Because of free will, we have greater opportunity and power when those of you in the physical open the floodgates of your heart to pour forth lavishly the Father's love. Good evening, dear ones. Let's get on your doorkeeper from this side of the veil. It is a wonderful privilege to be here with you, and I would have you to remember that there are many on this side of the veil who did join in your love sending, and remember to send them love, for they are striving to grow just as you are. Everyone in the whole of creation continues to grow, no matter how high upon the ladder they become, and your Heavenly Father continues to grow through His creation. I would like to talk to you about the council and the council meetings. I think we have mentioned it a few times, but we have had a meeting about your group and several others, and we would like to speak to you about what was covered in the council meeting. And there is one here who would like to be the spokesman, who has been asked to be the spokesman for this. And I relinquish to this shining light of God's expression. Good evening, my dear one. It is indeed a pleasure to speak with you here. I have watched this group and several others as you have grown, and you have grown. You are growing more and more each day. Those of you who come regularly to classes, those of you who send God's love often through the day and do your grow work are moving higher in consciousness, and you know it. It is the subject of the new age that I would like to speak to you about tonight, and we entitled the class tonight, Peace on Earth. And it is around the corner. My dear ones, you have seen great changes in the last year, or 2 years maybe, and you are seeing great changes yet to come. And I tell you, everything that happens can be turned around for the good of all concerned. This situation that you have in your Mideast crisis that has been called is the greatest opportunity that you have had in your known history. I would have you to think about this a moment and recall that there are only 3 or 4 countries, small countries, that are not working together. Your world as a whole has come together in one voice and has spoken and said, we want no more war. We want peace. And this situation that has come up has brought this about. Some would say the threat of war is not the thing that we want, but you see what the threat of war has brought about. And there will come a day soon when all of the countries will work together in peace and in harmony and will turn loose of the greed and selfishness that for many hold on this plane, for it is for their best good of them and everyone on the planet that we all work in harmony and we work with peace and we work knowing God's love fills us overflowing and that God himself is the power that generates our life. I would ask you for this next month to send an extra abundance of God's love to see if we can hold off this shooting war, as it has been called, long enough so that things can be settled. And it is possible if you and the other groups around the world and those who know who are praying for peace work together, it can come about. It is a beautiful experience indeed for us to see the things that have happened on your planet. We have worked hard from this side. Each one of you here know that everything comes from above down or from within out, as Donald says. And this plan has been in the making for many years. And we are very pleased to see it coming to fruition. And no matter whether how this turns out, your world has now come together, and there may be a few more small countries and large egos that want to be heard that will cause a little more trouble. But my dear one, if we send enough love into each individual on this planet, and each who are connected with this planet, and remember also, one thing was left out of the love sending, is to send love to all of those who are working with others from higher dimension. Send love to all the invisibles around you, all of those who are helping you from this side of the veil. This opens the door for them to come in and give you stronger thoughts, power, so that they can get your attention and they can help you in the ways that you have asked them to help you. My dear one, each day, open your heart to God and to God's helpers, and send God's love ahead of you into your day, into your every thought, word, and deed, into every situation and every encounter. And let not a day go by that you do not consciously send God's love through you to the whole world and to the whole universe. For we are all one in the same life. And you must continue to remember this. No one is left out of the family of life. There are those who are still in darkness. There are those who are stirring the pot of trouble. But my dear ones, as we see from this present situation, that gives us opportunity to rise above these so-called trouble spots, these so-called trouble things. Those who are worried and concerned about how it affects the economy are not totally selfish, but it is the wrong thing to worry about. How does it affect the spiritual family? How does it affect the growth and the soul growth and the spiritual growth on this plane? And I feel that this situation that has come about has brought many people together and has stopped them in their tracks and helped them to think about what life is and what it is all about and where they fit in the scheme of life. This is the beginning place when each one of you has stopped and thought, what am I all about? Why am I here and where am I going? This is a thing that brings you to understand that you are a God being, that you are a child of God and God dwells within you, the creator of all that is in life, is the life force that you are. And as you remember this, as you continue to remember it moment by moment and live in the present moment, loving God and loving all of His creation and loving yourself especially, for God dwells in you. And when you love yourself, you see you cannot help but love God. When you feel guilty of self-condemnation, unworthy, these thoughts and feelings are very destructive. If you make a mistake, admit your mistake to yourself and to God, and send love into it and cancel it out immediately, and walk on, and don't give it another thought, because it is not worthy of another thought. Besides, it's already canceled out. It doesn't exist. Keep this in mind. Love yourself. Be grateful for the life that you have. Be grateful for all the beautiful things that you have in life. And if you could remember back into other times that you've been on this planet, it was much rougher than this time. Much rougher in many ways. And you struggled and struggled. And you brought yourself up to this time now where things are a lot easier for you. And as your planet becomes one, as a family of individuals, then can you go forward with great stride and seek higher consciousness, have greater abilities to make your planet a heaven on earth, truly make your planet a heaven on earth. What would it be like to have heaven on earth? Well, as you think of heaven, heaven is a place in your consciousness. It is a place in each consciousness that dwells on this planet. And if each one on this planet were totally at peace within themselves, you would have heaven on earth. You would have a place to reside where there would be no more struggle or toil, no more government argument, no more politicians, no more hospitals, because no one would get ill. No more jail. Would look out for each other and would lay down our life, if necessary, for another, no matter whether they know them or not. For they would know in their heart, my dear ones, that each of you are brothers and sisters. You have the same Father, and you are created in His image and likeness. As you can continue to remember this, as you can continue to allow your consciousness to grow through looking at the so-called troubling problem and changing them immediately into opportunity. And if you cannot see the opportunity, ask yourself, the Father within, He will tell you, because it truly is an opportunity. Opportunities abound on your planet. Opportunities to be loving is one of the greatest opportunities that you have. Loving to yourself first, and loving to everyone that you come in contact with. Loving to the whole world and to all those countries and everyone on this planet that you may not have met, and then extend this love out to the whole universe. There are many higher planets than Earth, but there are also many lower planets than Earth. And they need help, just as you do. You see, my dear ones, when you are busy sending love, when you are busy loving, then you are in tune with the heart of life. You are in tune with yourself. You're in tune with God. You're in tune with the rhythm of the overall life force. And as long as you keep your heart filled with love and your mind filled with love, nothing can come near you to harm you. You have the power of all power. You have the wisdom of all wisdom and all creation available to you. But you must make yourself available to it by first continuing to clean house, by continuing to eliminate those thoughts and feelings and moods and attitudes that are not worthy of love, eliminating them from your consciousness and replacing them with loving, beautiful thoughts and feelings. I tell you, God Himself rejoices with each step that you take forward, with each little bit of growth that you make. And we here see your growth, and we encourage you with all the love that we can muster to continue to grow, to continue to send love more often. There are times when you could start your day out and ask God to make you an open, clear, clean funnel for His divine love to flow through you all that day without ceasing. And if you think you get out of tune with yourself, just stop and ask God to cleanse you of all past negation and renew your request and determination. You who know the truth, and those of you in this room have had enough to understand and know the truth of life, the truth of God, the truth of love. It is all one thing. It's all one power. And you are at the center of this power. Your consciousness is at the center of all consciousness, because there is no such thing as time or space. And when you get over this concept of duality, you will rise to great heights. And when you know and appreciate what you truly have, then can you begin to eliminate your language and the misconceptions of your language and the misleadings of the things that come from your language, and can communicate with loving thoughts, with impressions, and the other will receive and give back that which they have received in greater abundance. It is in my privilege to speak with you tonight, and if you would like, let us stop and have this time for asking questions. It is a privilege to be here with you and to make this contact with you. You who have made the effort while still on the physical plane. Are there questions this evening? And Todd, big louder for you.
I have a question. Could you shed some light on how we can accept all of the idea of having to do something physically and get more in control of our thought and working with the thought aspect and creating instead of physical aspects of creating again?
For the benefit of those here who will listen to this tape, would you give us an example?
Okay, let's say there's a situation in your own life that you want in Fred can bring more abundance into your life, like that as an example. And opposed to thinking that I have to do some kind of physical act, and you make that mass that what I'm looking for is something a little more specific in reference to my thoughts, how to control my thoughts, to bring that into manifestation and taking away from thinking that I necessarily have to do something in a physical manner to manifest it.
Yes, I see what you're saying. Now let us think about this for a moment. And let us realize, my dear one, that you are in a physical body and that you are on a plane that is used to thinking that they manifest everything from the physical. And this is a race thought, and it is to a certain degree, in all of your consciousness here in this physical, and to a greater degree in the masters on this plane. You have the power to create through thought. You have done this before, all of you, and you have lowered yourself to the lower plane and forgotten how to do this. And it is not difficult. It is very simple. But I would suggest to you that you continue to use your physical along with creating your mental to make everything fall into place in a much easier way, in a much more relaxed way. I would suggest that you be willing to use your physical body to bring about the abundance when it is needed. But each time that you bring about more abundance, ask your higher self, ask the God within you Now, how could I have done that more with the entity, not just the mind, but with the soul entity, the power of pure spirit that I am? And each time that you do this, you will learn a little bit more. It is difficult for you to jump from where you are to perfection of this plane. I'm not saying that you can't do it, because you can. Now, when you bring forth the manifestation of, for example, the master teacher fed the multitudes with the last lunch, and he was able to manifest the fishes and the loaves many, many times over, because he knew that he and the Father were one. In other words, he knew he was God. And as God, he could create whatever he chose. Whenever you have that realization, and remember that word means to make real, then you too can manifest the loaves and fishes or whatever you want to manifest. But let us talk a little bit about motive, and be certain that your motive is pure. When you move higher in consciousness, you take on more responsibility, because when your motive is a little bit off, then you can acquire more karma. And many of you have gone through the experience in the past, and this is just for your growth. It is not to condemn you, of having a lot of power and misusing it, abusing it. This is an important thing to realize. And until you get your consciousness in that state of pure God's love, where you know that you will not abuse the power that you have, then when you go forth, just as this little old lady, what was her name, from India, who fed all of the starving people. She won the Nobel Prize. Mother Teresa. She did this. She had nothing when she started, but she manifested the food to feed these people. She drew to her the people who wanted to be as she is. And they worked with her, and they fed the starving people.
I had an intestinal hysteria. I'm 24 hours duty, and was supposed to be getting 4 hours sleep a night. If the relative would wake me up, talk about the tape. He said his dying was a very severe case of cancer. I got off that case. I made 40 cents an hour on that tape. I got off that case to start to visit my sister. I stopped in Medley on the way, and I knew a delightful old man who was very brilliant, but people, he was odd, and people remember free to again. And then the wife said to me, "Well, they don't appreciate Papa. They don't appreciate Papa." And I said, "Stick your love enough and stirred enough, your good could come right out of the blue." And I didn't think about it. I went on to Washington and slept for about a month. And then I went on the night duty, and my first night, a woman came in who was deathly frightened. And I gave her every bit of success time I had. She thought she had appendicitis. They gave her all kinds of tips, but in the end, they offered appendicitis. That woman claimed me a career, but she got Steve's private nurses asked her that. The lady said that I felt so. I don't know what I did. She sent me home, with a bouquet of lilacs and roses in the middle of the winter, and in a snowstorm. I couldn't think I wanted anything but what that woman supplied. And it seemed she wanted to give me a wristlet that I have one. I came back in Minneapolis to ask that I got sick there. And on the way I saw I done the brush. And within a few days, a silver coloring brush and a mirror that kind of thing. After a while, I decided to visit my sister for a move to Ecuador. I worked all night and thought I would go in the morning on a train to visit my brother on the way. And I was too tired. I went to sleep. And my landlady woke me up and gave me a letter. When I woke up in the afternoon, I reached the letter under my pillow and found that it was $1,000 stick from the friend's gift back for bank. So stuff flew $125 union gone when I went to South America. She just noticed me with gift. I told her husband, "You just didn't guilty, you had no right to give me." And he said, "I don't mind, if my father give you something, you take it, I'll buy you more." I came back from Ecuador and bought an old, dilapidated house in Minneapolis to see what I could do. I asked if my position as a nurse was secure. Oh, yes, it was fairly secure. I understood that Rickle is a morbid, or taking out the morbid, then I would fired. I was fired because I kept thinking, whilst I do this and this, I'll get fired, and I personally did. I've done that about 20 times. Anyway, I was fixing up the old house. The woman was sending $300 in the mail with unregistered, unstyled, the buyer would bring it to me until it's marked about the end of mail. That's the money kept coming in until I was frantic. I didn't feel good about it. So I said, "God, I wish that Daddy really would stop. I want to see what I can do myself." And immediately their money stopped.
Yes, you see, my dear one, where do you think the money came from and all the gifts came from?
It came from God.
There's only one source, and we should never refuse.
I thought that totally different.
Yeah. Yes. We should never refuse gifts from God. And God is everywhere present. God is in everyone.
And you can't do anything without God telling you.
That's correct. So this is testimonial to what can happen when you serve with love and when your motive is correct, and when we are overly concerned or fearful about our supply, then we work against ourselves. And this we should watch. We should do things with love and do them for God and for life, because there's nothing else to do it for. In your present situation on your planet, you need butchers and bakers and candlestick makers and all kinds of people to bring about the conditions that you have on your planet at this time. And if you will talk to God and your higher self about this enough, Stephen, your supply will come to you, and it will come to you what you should do to bring in your supply. I would give you a suggestion. Ask yourself, what can I do for God? What can I do for others that would be helpful to them? And be not concerned about how much money or how much overhead or anything else, and go about doing what you hear within yourself and leave it to God to manifest what you need. You see, Stephen, I do not wish to scold you on this, and I do not mean it in a negative, derogatory way, but even the question brings about concern, overly concern. And many of you do this in different ways. You worry about how you're going to accomplish this. You worry about your health. You worry about your friends and your relatives' health. And this is not the thing to do. You know from coming to the classes, and I tell you that we had a talk with Donald today, and he is in the process of bringing new classes into being that will give you a great deal more help. Those of you who have taken most of the classes will be eligible for this, and will bring you more light and understanding. We have opened the door because you and others like you have opened yourself, and it has given us the opportunity. You must remember, with your free will, we cannot interfere with your life in any way. And even if we would like to give you all the things that Annabelle received, you see, God would not let us do that, because you have to earn it by state of consciousness and explaining it from your classes. But I tell you, your consciousness is as large as the whole universe, but you do not know it. And when you realize it and make it real in your consciousness, then the whole universe is at your command. And when your motives are correct, and when you wish to serve, work to serve, this is the correct way. And I would remind you of something else that was in your Bible, that the disciples, after the crucifixion, were going from town to town, preaching the gospel where they had been told to by the Master. And they came to the gate of this town, and a beggar was begging of alms. And they told him, "Silver and gold have I none, but what I have I give unto you." My dear ones, you see that they had so much more than silver and gold. They had so much more through their understanding of divine love and understanding that they're children of life, children of the Creator of all being. And as you keep this in mind, and as you keep it forward, then your life will not fail from want of anything. My dear one, does this help you understand me?
You're in that point. Doing 6 one of those things. I had, it was told out. I had somebody say, I'd like to have it thinking that room. And that it's for you let me think it was for the, well, I like to. So I said, yeah. And so I went out and bought a whole lot of plumbing things. And he didn't pay the rent, and he skipped. And I didn't know what to do with all the material I had. It was stretched from my living room into the other room. And finally I went back where I bought it and asked God if he could make a back way, stairway, or something that they only required doing. And they said, yeah. And then every year they come the plumber and the plumber's helper and the plumber's helper would come and pay those 2 weeks, but they never got at the work. One day I got home, and they ran us thing up to the back hallway, and let's just all pipe out of the bottle, split, and ran up to the bathroom. And I stopped them and took them to the plumbing association, and they said they didn't blame me for that. But anyway, I had a bill of $500. I had no money to say that I didn't even know if I was going to get more money. I was just kind of bewildered and stunned that I wasn't fussing against it, but I did suppose in my heart I was saying, God, how can I do it? But I wasn't fighting her. And the day before I had to say the bill, I got 3 unexpected steps. I didn't get any all. But I wasn't trying to fight, wasn't trying to do it. It just happened. I was with task force friends, and it just happened.
Yes, and when you live in the moment, and you learn to live in the present, doing what you find to do at hand with all your might, as your teacher told you, doing what's right in front of you, what you find at hand to do with all your might, living in that present moment with love and joy and peace, and knowing that your Father will provide for you. But He worked through you. He does not work for you. And so you use your mind in the correct way, with letting God's love come through, paving the way with the right motive, being open for any and everything that your higher self suggests, and following through. And if one thing doesn't work, another one will. If one door closes, 2 more will open up. When you really realize this and open up to it, this is the way that life works. Life is abundant, everywhere present. And if you will look at your fields, when you plant one seed, you get many, many more seeds back when it is taken care of and cultivated and watered. This is the way that life is. Water and cultivate whatever you are doing. In other words, do it as unto God. Do it in love, knowing that you have all that you need for this moment, and the next moment will take care of itself. This is a beautiful lesson that we're getting into tonight. Are there other questions?
Final question.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you had harmful meanings and talked about it's got several things. What are some of the things or different things that will be they get
Yes, my dear. I will be able to tell you some of the things. It's account foot 20. And this council is looking out for everyone, of course, but they are especially looking out for groups such as yours, individuals that are striving to grow. And each one of you has a guardian who is in charge of your growth. But you may have 5 or 6 or 10 more who are helping in different ways. And as we sit in this council meeting, these suggestions go out to all of your helpers. You see, there is no time or space, and the higher vibrations and higher frequency puts us on a level that the lower level do not hear, as you would say, or do not see. But we send out the messages to those who are helping you, and the word comes down. And if you open, then you will receive. And this is why it's so important, so very important, that you go outside 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, 3 times a day, to listen to God, to listen and hear what you can hear and know the truth, and know that you can make life more abundant for yourself and for everyone around you. Think not of your needs. Think of the world's need. Think of the planet and how much it needs. What can you do to help the planet? What can you do to help this new aid that is coming in, whether you are with it or not, whether anyone is with it? It is coming in, and it's accelerating every day. And how can you be in tune with this new aid to help the planet and those on it to understand more? This is the greatest opportunity that you have. And yes, you do have to feed your body still, but there will come a day, and this is one thing that you might think about, is how can I bring forth into this new age new things that will help us to eliminate so much struggle and confusion, so much tension, so much worry and concern. And you have to start with yourself. You have to be the example. And when you can eliminate the worry and concern within yourself and the tension, then you can pass it on to others without saying a word, because you know how to send God's love. And as God's love flows through you without any obstruction, then it flows through in great abundance. And you see, you throw out an aura of love, you throw out an aura of light, you throw out the goodness of life, the goodness of God. And the more you work with it, the farther it goes out from you. And it touches those that come into your presence, and it changes their life. And they know not where it came from. But we know that it all comes from the same source. And you are instruments. You are channels for God to work through. This is a scheme of life. How is God going to reach this planet unless he reaches it through you and others like you? Do you understand?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Yes.
Can you tell us what your name is, please?
Would you speak louder?
Can you tell us what your name is, please?
It is not necessary to be involved with a name. We of the council do not take credit for what comes through. We know that it is God that is speaking through us. We know that it is God's love that we have embraced that helps us to reach you. And when we reach as few as you, and then can bring others into your presence, then we are reaching out more and more all the time. Be content to know that I am of the light and of divine love, and I am here to give you that which God is. Reach out and accept it in your consciousness. Then you need not worry about anything or anyone. I did not mean to spite you by not telling the name, but it is not important. You see, we are all one, and this is the message to get through to you. You, on your level, deal with names and titles and how much money each one has, what kind of car they drive, what kind of clothes they wear, and you judge them the best. Some of you are learning not to do this, but most people on your plane do. And this is not the way to judge. Because what you have on this plane will soon turn to dust and ashes and have no meaning. As you raise your consciousness, you will know this. And you will know that as Gandhi knew, when he left this plane, he had 3 items. He had a pair of sandals, he had his robe, and he had a beggar's bowl. But look what he did for his country. Are there other questions this evening?
I'd like to thank people tonight.
Speak louder, please.
I'd like to thank you for this class. It's been very enlightening.
Yes. Thank you for your gratitude. Be grateful to God often. This is such a powerful thing, and it opens a door to many other things. Be grateful for what you have, and more will be added to you. Let love and gratitude flow through your heart at all times. And be kind to each other, but especially be kind to yourself. Do not condemn yourself for mistakes you think you make. There are opportunities. Be grateful for them. This is difficult for some of you to understand. But if you can immediately, when you make a mistake, so-called, say, thank you, Father, for this opportunity. Now help me to understand it and how to work with it. And the door is open. And if you are open, you will hear and you will see. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. It has been a great privilege for me to speak with you this evening, and I will come again when the timing is right. God bless you, each one.
Thank you.
Good night.
Not
Let us come together in the physical by holding hands, on bringing down this truth of love and understanding that have been given us, and let it spread all over this planet, and let our light, those kinds that everyone will see and knows that we come from God, and that we are of God, and below can come down to understand as they are of God. Thank you, fun. Good one, Anthony. I'm a boy. Got a command after you do the exciting. Yeah, I'm on good.
touch the stick there. With held by ballot. The movement. Going the own line.
Likely we're just fine. Feeling like that good tannins that I will go here and help him on. Alan, well, there's like 4.
And no, here's a banana. Either.
In the man.
Dusty phone with that.